Hello, 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 Sagittarius. This is Adrian Igo, Capricorntigress of Astrology, a look inside, coming to you kind of late with your January reading for 2019. And it's better late than never. So I will tell you, though, I've been making them a little shorter because, as you can tell, my voice is a little hoarse at this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this chart that I've created for you guys, and I'm going to discuss what what I think is going to be the emphasis for this upcoming month. Okay. So, of course, the big thing for you guys, Sagittarius, is that you've got Jupiter in the first house. And Jupiter is going to be hanging around that first house for quite some time, the rest of the year. And I think until November, I think it is, when it goes, or December, somewhere in there between November and December 2019, it'll go into Capricorn, my sign, and then we're going to take over the reins of the luck. But right now, you are truly like the luckiest sign in the zodiac, because Jupiter is your ruler. And so your ruler is at home. And your ruler is in the first house. And Venus is actually going to be coming into Sagittarius, leaving Scorpio. And when it does that, I want you guys to be very cautious of gaining weight, because it's your solar first house. And so there is going to be a possibility of weight gain for Saggies. So be careful of that, because that is your first house. That's your, it's what people see. So it just can mean that you have a happy, jovial, it could just mean that you're happy and you're smiling and enjoying life, maybe drinking too much, eating too much, partying too much. So yeah, that is what I see for you guys. I want you to be cautious of that, because of course, like I said, Jupiter is your ruler. And but you don't really want to have too much Jupiter, because it can lead to things like gout and stuff like that when it's in the first house, especially when Venus is transiting the first house this way. And so I want you to be cautious of that. Okay. The big thing for everybody really in the month of January is what's going on in the sign of Capricorn, because it's kind of amazing. And being a Capricorn, I've done an entire hour long reading on Caps, and I talk about that partial solar eclipse, the new moon, and Vega. Vega is the fixed planet that's going to be on that at 15 degrees of Capricorn. And I discuss it a pretty decent great deal, I think, in Capricorn's reading for January. So if you want to learn more about that in particular, I would go to that, because I don't want to keep repeating myself. But there will be the sun in Capricorn. There's going to be the moon in Capricorn. They are going to be conjunct. And it's going to be a new moon in Capricorn. There's going to be a partial solar eclipse in Capricorn. And Vega, as I mentioned, is going to be there. Mercury is going to be there during the month. Saturn is there during the month. And Pluto is there. It is truly the most packed house of the entire zodiac. Oh, and the South Node is there, because the North Node is at 27 degrees, I think, of Cancer. So yeah, we're dealing with that as well. And guess where all of this falls for you guys? It falls in your solar second house of what you possess. It's money. I mean, money. So not only do you have Jupiter in your first house, and Venus is going to be there, two of the most beneficial planets in all of astrology are going to be hanging out in the first house of you, right? And then we've got the sun and the moon and the new moon and all of this stuff happening in the second house, the solar second house. Money, what you own, what you possess, what you have to give, how much love you have to share, how much just how much you're amassing and how much you're growing and how much you're striving to attain. It's what you like, the toys that you get in this lifetime. That's really indicated by the second house, but also what you have to give, like in uh, emotionally or from that deep place. It's like the well that we have inside of us to give. I always look at it as our capacity to give. Everyone looks at it as money, and yeah, it's money, but it's also our capacity to give. We give from the second house. And in your case, man, do you have a lot to give? You do. It's beautiful. The thing is about Saggies, you guys tend to be really deep into things like causes and politics and religion and legal things. I bet you there's a couple of activists that might even be drawn to this reading because it's something that Saggies do. And that's part of that giving, because it's almost like you guys have a natural inkling to get involved and to give of yourself. And with the sun and the moon there, it indicates giving of yourself in some way, even financially, giving of yourself to others in some way. And also, you'll be amassing, of course, your own. I just feel like, especially after the sun moves into Aquarius on the 21st of January, I really believe once it does that, I'm picking up my lucky amethyst. I don't know why. I feel like I need to hold on to it. But when the sun goes into Aquarius on the 21st, it's going to be in your solar third house of communications. And that's going to be opposing the ninth house, which is your natural house. Ninth house is the house of Sagittarius. And the sun's going to be opposing that. So and there is going to be a full moon up in that ninth house on the 21st as well, by the way, because the full moon is going to occur in Leo. And the sun is going to be in Aquarius. And so there's going to be this opposition on the 21st. I must be getting sick. I'm so sorry, you guys. Anyway, I'm going to be, and I'm going to clear it out the universe, cancel. I'm well and I am healthy. All is well. I'm getting better every day. Sipping on my tea. Okay. So, yeah. This full moon up in Leo, that's going to be up in that solar ninth house. It's going to be opposing the sun in Aquarius in that third house. It's something to do, I think, with communications, something to do with that. It's like an opposition or maybe even a possible argument when it comes to communications. And the argument, it's going to be about probably politics. Probably something about Trump or about racism or about schooling. It could have something to do with religion. It could have something to do with legalities, the legal things, the legal system. I can see that being the issue. Please be cautious about this. Also, the third house is ruler of like your extended family or like even your siblings, actually. Third house, brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, that type of thing. The sun's going to be there opposing that full moon. So I would be cautious of having arguments with brothers and sisters and relatives like that. Also neighbors, because the third house also rules neighbors. You might want to watch out for getting involved or some kind of altercation with a neighbor. I mean, I'm hoping that kind of stuff isn't going to happen, but I would just be cautious of that. And yeah, because it's the ninth house and it's Leo, and it's it's a full moon, and it could be flashy. You know what I mean? And so just avoid that need to be right, because Saggies, you guys love to be right. You really do. And so just avoid that. You will have Mars and Uranus in the fifth house. That's the natural house of Leo. And so with Mars and Uranus in the fifth house, it's almost like having Mars and Uranus in Leo. Again, that makes me want to give you that extra caution about, flying off the handle, losing your cool, blowing your steam or whatever over some thing someone said, yeah, cautious of that. Because see that being an issue, really. With the North Node in Cancer in the eighth house, that's really all for a while. You're going to have that. I would say look at all those eighth house issues, which is really the deep psychological issues. That deep, look at yourself from a psychological viewpoint, and maybe you'll get some more insight that you may not have otherwise had. Because really, Cancer in that it's almost like nurturing yourself, but nurturing this, your psyche, your psychological part of you. Also, it is a great indicator of maybe sexual things, and maybe that area of life will increase or improve. Also, money, your partner's money, that's something that's also indicated there, as well as secrets. It's the natural house of secrets. And so all of these issues may come into the fore. And finally, I'll just mention that Neptune is in Pisces down in the fourth house. There's Neptune is an amazing planet, and Pisces is an amazing sign because it can really be a beautiful, creative, almost fantasy-like experience, or that Pisces Neptune can be like waking up to illusions and delusions, or experiencing them in your family life, in your home life. Um, maybe feeling as though you have the idealistic family or the idealistic home or the idealistic marriage, but you may find that may not be true later. So just be cautious of that, because that Neptune down in Pisces does square Saggy. It squares you guys naturally. And so there might be some issues with that, especially with Jupiter, but Jupiter's not quite deep enough in. But I think that Venus is going to be moving pretty quickly, and it's probably going to get into aspect with that Venus, or excuse me, that Neptune. So that's something you might want to keep an eye on. Okay, and so now I will say this about that Mars and Uranus in the fifth. It's in Aries, and of course, Aries is retrograde, or Uranus is retrograde in Aries right now. It's going to pop back, and I think it should be back in Taurus, I believe, April, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of people are doing crazy things with this, and in your case, it's in that fifth house, and it's Uranus, and it's Mars. And I want to warn you now not to take a chance on your finances, and not to take a chance on, say, your children, because the fifth house rules children. Also, I don't know why I said this or see this. Please be aware of being too aggressive with children, spanking them too hard or spanking them at all if they don't need it. Being erratic around your children, that's something that you might not even be aware is something that could occur. So I'm just want to give you that warning about that. So anyway, Sag, this is where I'm going to end it off, because as you can tell, my glands are swelling. I'm just doing each reading as I can each day. But you know what I want to do? There is something I do want to do for you, Saggies. I don't know why I'm being led to do this, because I'm not doing the aspects like I normally would do, but I've had this urge just now to just see where that Jupiter degree is. We're going to look that up, aren't we? Yes, we are. Oh, the sun is on my sun. Well, It still would. It's in striking rate. It's conjunctive. And Saturn's on my sun. Yeah. So this degree, I was moved to tell you about this degree. This degree. Oh, it was my first house when I lived in California. Athletic prowess and practical arts have some interest here. Let's see. Oh, social qualities. A good mixer. A good mixer. Social qualities. Remember, you've got Venus transiting the first house right now as well. So this is amazing. Amazing. That's Jupiter and Venus. This is very happy. A good mixer. Considerable courage. You can border on aggressiveness. But it's mostly physical courage. Because it is, by the way, that Jupiter is happening right now in the first house. That's the physical body. So it's amazing that this is saying this. Outspokenness is obvious, yeah. And you may acquire some enemies. And I could see that. I can see why that would happen. I mean, you're going to have Venus and Jupiter sitting in your solar first house. Of course, that's showing an opposition to anyone that would be sitting in that solar seventh house. And so with Jupiter in the first, it's almost like, say, I'm here. What you going to do about it? You know, Venus is like, I'm here too. I don't know why when I think of Venus in the first, I just hear a little voice like Michael Jackson. Okay, so let's see. It says you're expected to have some enemies, especially the more prominent you are, the more likely you have enemies. So if you're in a prominent position, you win some awards, you get some acclaim, because I mean Jupiter and Venus is in the first house, so something like that could occur. You've got Venus, you've got Libra on your 11th house of hopes, dreams, and wishes, and you got Jupiter in the first house, so anything is possible. You're inclined to say what you think. I talked about that earlier, about being careful about, getting into those verbal arguments. You're skilled in the art of subtlety. You know how to balance and mix certain elements skillfully. And you are clever. Yeah, you're clever. So that is your lucky thing right now. I mean, this is where Jupiter is in your first house. It's lucky. I mean, it's a lucky degree. It's lucky because it's your ruler. It's lucky because it's in your first house. And so it's a lucky month, even though, you're going to be in the shadow of Capricorn, pretty much. But no, you're going to be fine, because Capricorn is going to be in that second house. And you're going to really bask in that. I see you guys doing well. Take chances too. I mean, within reason, with that Mars and that Uranus down in the fifth, take some chances in that area, because I have a feeling that is also going to be good. And there could be some sudden romance. I mean, if you're looking for romance, could get into some romance, but just be aware. I mean, meeting somebody when Uranus is retrograde in the fifth house, what's going to happen in April when it goes direct in Taurus? So be aware of that and make sure everything that you're getting what you want, and that you're not leading anyone on. It's a romantic time. Mars and Uranus, they're kind of erratic, but they want what they want. And so that happens. Okay, I'm going to go and get this, maybe take some Theraflu or something for this throat. I guess I've been talking way too much. Anyway, Saggies, again, it's been a pleasure. And I just had to read that degree for you for some reason. I felt like I had to make sure you guys heard that. And as you see, it was very positive. So, all right, good for you, Saggies. Anyway, happy holidays to you guys. I hope you have a wonderful 2019. Happy New Year's to you, and much love and light to you all. Bye now.